Hi, I'm Dr. Angie Parker, and I'm going to be your instructor for EDUC 575. And this week we're going to be looking at two important concepts. One is the delivery of online courses, and the second one is the importance of presence in the online classroom. And that doesn't mean you need to give gifts to your instructor. What it means is we have to both be very interactive. But I want to take a minute to go outside of that picture. What if we don't have presence in our online classroom? What happens? Let's look at a scenario. Can you remember a time when maybe you just started a brand new job and it was your first day? And you were really, really excited to go to your very first day. But once you got there, it became scary. They welcomed you. You couldn't remember people's names. You didn't know where anything was. You had a feeling of isolation or a feeling of anxiety. You were afraid you might make a mistake. Maybe you were afraid to ask questions. That's what a student feels in an online class when there's no presence in the classroom. Research has been done that shows when students have a feeling of isolation, especially in online, they tend to try to find somebody that can help them, or if that's not possible, they simply drop out. So we're going to be looking at how to design a course that does have that interaction on the student side and interaction on the instructor side. Before we can get into how we develop social presence in the classroom, I think it's important for us to have some quick background. So I wanted to share with you some research that's been done on this area. First of all, social presence wasn't always called that. It originally came from the concept of interacting in a face-to-face classroom. And this was interaction without verbal clues. And I'm sure you've experienced that. It's maybe eye contact, maybe it's smiling, maybe it's a facial expression. That original definition was referred to as immediacy. And the reason for that is because you immediately got a facial expression. You immediately got some body language that the person understood or accepted or maybe even rejected what it was that you were saying. That research in the traditional classroom led to new information in the online environment, and a new definition emerged. Before we can look at how we design for social presence in the online classroom, we need one more step. What are the benefits of using social presence in the online environment? Earlier in this lecture, we talked about the problems of not having social presence. You might remember the scenario of the new job when you felt, so lost and not knowing where to go and not feeling comfortable about asking questions. But when we do have social presence, there is suddenly a feeling of comfort. Both the student and the instructor feel at ease. They start to become comfortable around one another. This usually happens in a very formal way. In the first week of an online class, you are usually asked about what's your professional background, What's your goal for the class? Maybe even a little bit about where you live or a little bit about your family. Think back to the job scenario. This is the time when you're still a little bit guarded. You don't want to give out too much information, but you do want to get to know your fellow students and also your professor. That feeling, hopefully, if more social presence becomes available, decreases over time. You'll suddenly see in the discussions, maybe by week 2, certainly by week 3, that students are beginning to ask questions of each other. They're beginning to make informal comments to one another. They may even be sharing things like websites or further information that might be useful to their fellow students in the class. So that social presence really comes out in the way students begin to interact with each other. As I said, the relationships change from formal to more informal as we all get to know each other. Social presence also is a feeling of belonging. You feel that the other students are there to help you. Your instructor is there to help you. The instructor feels that they can have a little humor with a student. They know a little bit more about that student. And the students are usually more comfortable about asking questions or even making statements in the forum or the discussion. The instructor does seem to be more approachable by this time, by about the 3rd week in the class, if that social presence is really there.